Welcome back to the Black and Gold Standard Podcast. And today we want to get into the grades for the draft. So we're going to kind of just go over pick by pick and kind of give our feelings on, the guys that the Steelers picked, and also at the end give the Steelers a grade for this draft. Um, I think a lot of people like the draft, but then I feel like there's a lot of people that maybe really didn't like it because it seems like the Steelers maybe took some off the wall picks. But I'm gonna kind of explain where at least what I believe their thinking was with the picks that they made. I think overall decent. It was a decent pick. Some decent picks they made in the draft. Um, I've said it and I'll say it again. I really believe this draft is to match up with the Baltimore Ravens. Um, I think it's a bad feeling that the Pittsburgh Steelers had in their mouths after that playoff game, giving up almost 300. Well, giving up 300 yards rushing, and I think they made some moves that should hopefully stop that from ever happening again. So that's where I kind of look at it, with this draft. But like I say, we'll go over the picks and we'll talk about it, and just kind of let you know my feelings of what I think the Steelers did. All right, so going, right off the top, their first round pick, Derek Harmon. I love the pick. I think it was a need. Um, I think Harmon eventually will be a guy that will move into that Cam Hayward's slot, and you know probably will be Hayward's replacement at some point. Um, a big guy, 6'4", 113 pounds. I can see him probably maintaining that weight, and like I say, it's a great opportunity for him get to work with Cam Hayward. Just sit back and watch him work and learn how to become a professional um, ball player, and I think eventually would take over that spot. Now, to get him on the field, I think the Steelers may have him play a little bit of nose tackle, and that's just to get him on the field where you can get him on the field and you can get Cam on the field at the same time. But my only hesitation about this pick is, he got the shoulder injury. Really don't know what the extent of the injury is. I don't know if this is a partial torn rotator cuff or labrum. Really not sure, but I know he do have a shoulder injury. So it seemed like at some point that's going to have to be fixed, and hopefully he can get through the season with it. It doesn't seem like it affects him, as of right now, but the position that he plays is going to be a lot of banging, and you got to use your arms and try to reach guys and fight guys off. So that's my only concern about this pick. But other than that, I thought it was a great pick, and it was a pick that the Steelers needed. So as far as the grade, I gave it an A. I gave it an A. Really couldn't give it an A plus because, like I say, just because of the injury aspect of it, and hopefully that doesn't creep up. But I like the pick. I like the pick, and it was a good job. So, as we know, the Steelers did not have a second round pick. They used that pick to get DJ Metcalf. So, honestly, when you want to say, I mean, you could say they second round pick. It was Metcalf, and it's nobody in the draft that you would have got better than him in the second round. So, even though they didn't have a pick per se, they did do something with that pick that they had. So with that, they Next pick was in the third round, Caleb Johnson. Again, not a guy that I was kind of high on, because I just thought that, one of the reasons that you um, didn't want Najee anymore was because of the speed factor. Um, Johnson is faster than Harris, and he fits the scheme as far as that zone blocking. He fixed that. He fits in that very well. So that wasn't really a issue, as far as drafting him. But when I watched his film, he has a lot of breakaway runs. It ain't a lot of guys that's really, running them down. He definitely have a step over Najee Harris, and like I say, he fits the scheme a little better. He's a guy that I think probably by what, to be honest, he probably starts right off the bat. To be honest, I mean, if he have a good training camp, he can be the starter, and Warren will kind of just fit back in his role as being the I won't even say the backup, because both of them be like 1A and 1B type backs. Big guy, 6'1", 224 pounds. That was his combine weight. So it's it's fairly to say that he probably pays at about 230. And again, not a pick that I had kind of seen the Steelers doing, but no problem with it. I gave it a B minus. I just thought it might have been some guys that kind of fit a little better, and also definitely was better with the speed aspect of the game. But no major complaints, and it was a good pick. So moving on. Um, Round four, which I think for where they got him, it's probably a steal. Jack Sawyer. He's gonna play outside linebacker for the Steelers. He's more than 2 pounds, but he's 6'4", 260 pounds. A guy that he'll play that edge, and he'll be able to set the edge, and will be good against the run game. You still got Herbert in there, and he'll be able, he'll be that guy that, get after the quarterback. But this is a guy that can definitely play first and second down, give TJ and um, High Water rest, and play play on those rundowns, and he's big enough to, like I say, he can set the edge, and he'll stop the run. So I gave this pick a B minus. It was a it you know it was a good pick for the Steelers. Like I say, for the value where they got him at is pretty good. I mean, because more than likely, this probably was a third round guy, and you got him in the fourth round. So no complaints there. And again, if you look at the theme, the Steelers got big physical guys, and like I say, this is all about the Baltimore Ravens, and that's to have guys that can stand up to that run game, stand up to Derrick Henry, and get him on the ground. All right, the fifth round pick, Yaya Black. Again, massive guy, 6'6", 336 pounds. He's definitely going to be, your nose tackle type guy. He's going to stop that run. He's a brick wall, and he's going to be that type guy that can actually penetrate. He has enough speed, and that he can penetrate sometimes, but he's going to anchor that middle of the Steelers defense take on blocks, and then this is going to give Patrick Queen and Wilson the freedom to do what they do best, and that's run sideline to sideline or use their speed on on some design blitz to get after that quarterback and not have to worry about offensive guards or offensive tackles, getting to them guys, because they're not small guys, but for inside guys they are kind of on the smaller side. So you have to protect them to keep those linemen off of them. And a guy like Black is that that's what he'll be able to do. And like I said, he'll be able to plug up that middle and kind of force everything out to the edge. And then you have your your edge guys crashing down and Hayward and all that. So it's all about, again, stopping that run. And like I say, if you look at what the Steelers did, 6'6", 336 pounds, they're getting guys that's powerful, and they're getting guys that's physical and tough. So with that, I gave this pick a B. I think it was a great pick, especially for the 5th round. And like I say, the Steelers are showing everybody what they're trying to do. So in the 6th round, again, they want quarterback Will Howard. Great value, for a 6th round pick. Me personally, I really don't think he's going to be a starting quarterback. I think he's probably going to be a career backup, but you have to be fair and be honest. His last 4 games that he had, he was on the roll, and if he can build off of that, you never know what you can get. But to say, you're getting a 6th round pick and think he's going to develop into your starting quarterback, that's a big ask, and just more than likely it is not going to happen. But again, a big guy, 6'4", 236 pounds. But even though with his size, don't really have I guess you could say, a big time arm, for a guy his size. But I think he's going to be a guy, like I say, probably going to be a backup, and he's going to be a guy that's going to have if it's not just with the Steelers, I think he's going to be a guy that's going to be in the NFL for a long time. So with that, I gave this pick a B. Like I say, for a 6th round pick, it's good value, and we'll just see what he do in camp. And once the Steelers kind of figure out their quarterback situation, he could be battling for number 2, or he's going to be the number 3 quarterback and really just sit back and learn. So, we'll see. But again, for the value that they got him at, it was a good pick. All right, so we go round 7, and these guys, round 7, a 7th round pick is kind of hard to even project that he's going to make the team. Carson Bruner, I think actually he's going to make the team. Not so much. I mean, he's a linebacker, and I really don't see him. I mean, he'll work with the linebackers, but I see him as a special teamer. He's going to be a guy that's probably going to be on all the special teams, and that's where he's going to make his niche. The Steelers, if you remember his dad, Mark Bruner, played for the Steelers, I don't know, about 30 years ago. It was a good hard-nosed tight end. I mean, not so much of a receiving tight end, but he was a great blocker. And so his son, I really see that I think he's going to make the team. But like I say, he's going to be a solid special teamer. And, I gave that pick a C. And like I say, 7th round picks, it's kind of even hard to even say those guys are going to make the team. Usually these are guys that, will get through training camp, and then they end up, they end up sticking around to maybe like the final cut and then you put him back on the practice squad. But I have a feeling that he's going to make the 53. So I gave it a C, but again, not really nothing you could say was a big miss or anything like that. Dante Kent, 5'10", 189 pounds, great speed. Honestly, if this kid was maybe 2 inches taller, he probably would at least been a fourth, fifth round pick. Um, Tough kid, great speed. He a punt returner, and so he's gonna get a chance to play punt return. I think the Steelers will give him an opportunity in camp to maybe be compete in that nickel back and in the slot position. So we'll see how that go. Again, 7th round pick. I gave that pick a C. And like I say, these type guys are guys that they may make it. If not, it will be a practice squad guy. And be able to tune his skills a little better. But again, can't really say it's a hit. Can't really be mad at the pick. So with that said, that's the Steelers 2025 draft. Like I say, I know a lot of people were kind of iffy on the draft, and I was kind of iffy on it, especially after it was over. My initial thoughts on the draft, I really didn't like it, but once you start really looking at it and seeing, really studying it and seeing what the Steelers were trying to do, so I gave the draft a B overall. It was a good draft, and with that said, I think we'll just we'll see how it go in training camp and see what these guys can do, and that's really about it for now. So until next time, guys, take care, and I'll talk to you later.